Mark, upon hearing the news about this, he didn't know what to believe. A place full of life and happiness was being attacked by, a foreign nation? This couldn't be. Anybody who's lived there is peaceful, happy, free-willing. There's no way they could have done anything in any shape, form, and or manner that could cause such a disturbance. However, this did not derail Mark from his thought. He would go there, and he would not let anyone falter. He would not let anyone fall prey to the heinous acts of others. He believed in God, and God believed in him. He believed in glory and faith, for he would lay his life down for his beliefs, knowing the Lord would always hold him, would not let him falter. Before Celestia could get in another word, he ran and jumped through a window, smashing through it, receiving a few cuts and scrapes in the process, as his wings splayed out and he began flying. His objective, Ponyville. Whilst at Ponyville, the Changeling army, well, it wasn't necessarily an army, but it was a decent amount, a hefty amount of Changelings. It left Ponyville in a 2-to-1 stance. 2 versus 1. Which meant the ponies were at a slight disadvantage. The mayor had ordered an evacuation. However, they had the slight advantage. The Changelings were approaching from the opposite side, which meant that the train station was left undeterred. So, the mayor ordered an evacuation. Quickly, citizens ran, getting the elderly, weak, and injured on first from the hospital. Whilst anyone who was trained in magic was firing beams at Changelings, and Earth Ponies were standing on guard, making sure that none of them got close, making sure none of them did a surprise attack at the train station. Chrysalis, however, didn't care. She would round up every single one of them and suck the love dry from them. She would not fail. He couldn't believe it. Mark was staring from the sky above, the glorious sky, and he had seen what could only be described as panic. On one side, ponies were getting little foals, and were getting also a bunch of other little ones, injured, elderly, anyone who couldn't really defend themselves onto the train to evacuate. And on the other side, a hellish bug army was threatening to overtake and overrun the town. However, he would not let this happen. Descending like a holy arrow onto the ground floor, he had slammed into a crowd of changelings, causing a few to fly, and him landing atop one and killing it instantly. He knew he was diving into this quick, irrational. He knew that all this was going fast from one to the other, but he did not care. He would not falter. He would show no mercy. He may show mercy, for the God's sake. However, defending the innocents, defending those who cannot defend themselves, he would. Changelings had begun to get up, come out from street corners, alleyways, fly down off of rooftops, surrounding him. He took in a deep breath and then flew up just a few feet. His wings hardened in the pure steel, in the pure silver. Then he spun around in a fast motion, releasing feather-like daggers from his wings, that splayed outward, killing every single changeling around them, slamming into their legs, slamming into their chest, throat, and eyes, into the forehead. The few that were left alive were gagging, choking on their blood soaked into the soil. As they look amongst the Dominator, as their life faded. However, he did not care. He began running forward, unsheathing a great sword, gripping it with both hands, coming amongst a couple of changelings that were trying to drag out a pony from her hiding spot. He had taken the blade in an angle, into a stabbing angle, ramming it downward in the back of the first changeling's skull, releasing a deafening crack. The second changeling looked in horror and ran. It actually ran out of fear. Then Mark, taking his hand in and thrust it outward, emitting a powerful push that sent the changeling flying, slamming into a few of the houses nearby. More of these hellish spawn approached him. So what he did was, he focused a decent amount of his energy and rose it up, and to them, they'd seen something 10 times more horrifying than just him. A creature, a creature that looked like a bear, but it wasn't. Its torso was bigger, and its arms were more meatier, except it was made out of blue energy. It snarled and growled, snapping its energetic jaws. He looked at the creature and looked at the changelings and just simply pointed. It huffed, growled, digging both of its front claws into the soil beneath it, launching itself forward towards them. Before any of them could yell, it had ran, taking its claws and slashing one's throat, then taking its jaw and snapping down on one's head, yanking left and right, and then releasing, letting it fly and slam into a fountain. The changelings, they didn't know what to do. They were at a loss for words. It was almost, if it kept up at this rate, they'd falter into a full panic. 8 changelings flanked from the left. However, he quickly shot his hand out, and a crystalline spike slammed it to the floor and immediately erupted into hundreds of larger crystals emerged from that very spot, faltering upward, entrapping them. They couldn't move. They were entangled in it. It's like a snare, a vice, gripping its prey, a bear trap, gripping a wounded animal. They were helpless and defenseless. However, he would not kill them as he began walking. He had then felt something slam into his back, and it was painful. He looked, after emitting a loud yelp of pain. A changeling had used its horn as a battering ram, and it was about to do it again, till he quickly took his left arm and rammed it against its chest, and he turned into a smokish vapor. And the changeling fell face first forward. He had brought his hand to his chest, and he had became a vaporous form of himself, which was smart on his part, but not for the changeling, as he had fallen forward onto his face. He quickly dismissed the magical form, and once the changeling looked up, he reared his boot and slammed it right into its face, knocking it out. The numbers were dropping one by one by one, by two, by three, they all stared amongst the new victor, the claimer, the dominator. They didn't know what to think. Then morale dropped significantly. Panic entangled each and every one of them as they retreated. He knew why it was a swift and quick victory, because he acted such. He acted with such agility, such strength, such relentlessness. Well, he did show mercy to some. He went back over to the spike trap and quickly absorbed the magic, causing 9 changelings to fall out. They quickly got up and ran off. He was a hero, but he didn't really want a medal, an award. He didn't care. He decided to go sit down. Just sit. He had done a service, to say the least. He had helped, saved the people of the city. And now, he had done his job. After walking, to clear his head from the fight, he always needed to walk after killing something, fighting for someone else who couldn't fight for themselves. Because once he had killed something, it stuck on his mind. It did. He didn't want to think about it. Not one bit. Whilst walking, he'd come across a changeling. It was scared. It was hiding in a garbage bin. Ponyville had built him a house, and in that house he sat, with the changeling, staring at him in fear, on the couch. He looked and said, "What is thy name?" My name?" He nodded. "What is your name?" My name is Thorax. Please don't hurt me." Immediately, his eyes softened. Mark could see the good in him. Didn't take a genius. He went over and gently sat down next to him and said, "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you." However, Thorax didn't care. He was acting out of fear, not conviction. Staring at him, Mark couldn't help but think how fucking adorable he looked. He thinks it would be pretty funny if he forced him into like a little outfit. Make him look like a reindeer. That'd be kind of weird. And kind of gay. Well, I mean, he gets flashbacks to that moment with Blue Blood. And he begins to think. Maybe alcoholism isn't such a bad idea after all. He shrugs his thoughts off. He reaches out his hand and begins stroking Thorax's back. Thorax begins to relax a little bit. As he pulls him closer, he says, "It's okay. I'm not going to hurt you. You're okay. If you want, I can be your friend." Thorax's eyes widen. "You'd be friends with me, but I'm a monster." And to this, Mark let out a hefty laugh, saying, "My friend, we are all monsters, on the inside and out. None of us are innocent. We have all done heathenish acts. You do not need to worry. For you are gonna be okay. They both smile. Thorax coos while he pets him and tells him, "Thank you. I'm getting a lot of food from you." Mark didn't know what to think of that comment, but he shrugged it off. Thorax went upstairs to go sleep, as Mark had offered him earlier. Twilight and the others had decided to visit Mark. Once they had visited, they had talked about many things. They had talked about Rarity would talk and gossip about the nobles and how handsome they were, but Mark kind of thought she was retarded. Of course, this wasn't a nice form of thought, but it was only because, well, anybody who was rich in Canterlot was stuck up. They didn't care. Where the woman would see love, the man would just see nothing. All they would see is money. They didn't care about affection. Fluttershy had explained vividly about the mating habits of animals and rabbits, which made Mark a little uncomfortable, so to speak. And then, on top of all this, Twilight had kept bugging him to teach her about the berries of magic, because the second she had arrived, the townsfolk had told her about the magic, the powerful magic that he had used. And geez, she would not shut up. Couldn't blame her, though. I guess it is kind of impressive. And through all this, he knew that tomorrow was going to be an even longer day.